Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kid Stories Podcast. I'm Phil Bechtel. Now let's get to a shout out. James and Chelsea submitted some awesome drawings. Those were so good, you two. I think if you were characters in the stories, you would be a special type of night wizard who could transform into moths in the moonlight. And because of your special relationship with the moon, you would have a close alliance with werewolves. Thanks for listening, James and Chelsea. Today, we are continuing the Master Momo origin series. This is part 4 of Master Momo's origin story. Momo was seething with anger as he left the Cliffside City dojo. The robot Master Tin and his 2 robot henchmen had defeated every ninja there while Momo was out on patrols. Momo asked around town and was told that the robots left Cliffside to the north. From there, it wasn't difficult for Momo to track the 3 robots. Their heavy robot bodies and metal feet left easily identifiable tracks. As Momo followed the tracks further north, he began to wonder exactly what he would do when he found them. They had defeated the entire dojo. Alice and all the others, ninjas who were way better fighters than he was, fell to Master Tin. Doubt began to creep into Momo's mind. Momo slowed in his pursuit of Master Tin. He considered turning around and heading back to Cliffside City when he saw a flickering light and a thin trail of smoke beyond a ridge in front of him. He jogged up to the peak of the ridge and saw down below a village burning. He ran down to help. As he got closer, he noticed the residents of this village. Some were helping to put out the many fires. Others were making sure the kids were all right. No one was panicking, and the danger seemed to have passed. "What happened here?" Momo asked someone nearby. The person stopped throwing buckets of water on a burning building and turned to Momo. She had a surprised look on her face. "You shouldn't have come," she said. Momo tilted his head to one side, and before he could ask more questions, he heard an evil, robotic voice behind him. "I knew you would come." Momo spun around and backed up, whipping out a sword in each hand. "Tin!" Momo yelled. His first instinct was to shout, "What have you done?" But he knew the answer already. Master Tin was a monster and needed to be stopped. No amount of talking or negotiation would change that. Momo threw each of his katanas at the robot henchmen standing on either side of Tin. The long blades cut through the air and landed true, sticking right through each of the robot henchmen. And while his blades flew through the air, Momo leaped toward Tin. The robot swung its own blade at Momo, and he spun through the air to dodge. As Momo flew over Master Tin, he grabbed the necklace hanging around the robot's neck and yanked, popping it right off. And by the time Momo landed, he held the red gemstone in his hand. Momo turned to Tin. "It's over, Tin. Whatever this artifact is doing to you, it's done now." As Momo stood holding the red gemstone in his hand, he noticed that the 2 robot henchmen were unfazed by the swords impaling them. Each robot wrapped their metal fingers around the handles and effortlessly pulled the swords from their chests and dropped them to the ground. Tin's eyes lit up bright red. "You can have the gemstone, ninja," Tin said. "I'm in the robot now." Momo instantly realized his mistake. The gemstone wasn't the problem, not anymore. Whatever evil was in the gemstone at first was now in Master Tin. That evil had found a new home in a robot ninja master. The 2 robot henchmen dashed to Momo, and he turned to run away. They grabbed him, and he struggled to fight back. Momo jabbed at the robot's eyes and pulled at their exposed wiring. He squirmed free, and they gave chase again. One of the robots caught up with Master Momo, and in a struggle, he tossed the metal brute into a burning building. Momo then picked up a piece of flaming wood and swung it wildly to keep the other robot at bay while he backed away. Momo was completely intent on running away now. He was outnumbered and doubted if he could defeat even one of these bots, much less 3. And while he stabbed at one robot with the flaming end of a board, the other robot walked out of the burning building. These things seemed invincible. Momo dropped his board and ran. It was no use fighting these monsters now. The only hope was to run and regroup, and before Momo reached the edge of town, he felt a metal hand grab the back of his shirt. Momo kicked and swung, trying to free himself. He reached his hands up to the robot's metal fingers gripping his shirt and tried to pull the fingers apart. But the robot swung his arm back and threw Momo across town and into an old, dried-up well. He hit the top of the bricks of the circular well and then fell all the way down, landing hard on the wet ground below. Momo groaned. He had never been in so much pain. He opened his eyes and looked back up through the opening of the well. He could still see the flickering light of the fires in the village, and he saw the shadow of a robot as it approached the opening of the well. There was no way out. Momo closed his eyes to play possum. He hoped the robot would see him unmoving at the bottom of the well and leave him. As he lay as still as possible, he heard robot sounds from above, whirring and beeping as the robot scanned the well. And then nothing. For hours, Momo lay there as still as possible, until he fell into a deep sleep. The end. Thanks for listening, friends. The website is kidstoriespodcast.com. Send all your drawings and things to kidstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Adios.